So my name is Mark Schmidt. My family and I have been members here just over 20 years, and I currently serve as the congregational president. So if I was going to describe my experience, one of the things, the pandemic itself, it felt like it started as this forced pause where it was time that none of us expected, where we could stand back and stop doing what we were doing and think a little bit more about the things that mattered, or that, maybe some things we could stop doing. But as it stretched on, it became more just generally disruptive. And I think it kind of came to a point where I believe I changed. And I would say, fortunately, every time I found myself in that position, I ultimately found myself in the context of a community of faith that was, deeply immersed in God's grace and deeply concerned with connecting people to each other and people to God. In the context of some of those same communities, I really discovered the Psalms. And what I love about the Psalms, and I think the things that have helped me about the Psalms, even in getting through this period, is that there are Psalms of praise and thanksgiving, and there are Psalms of lament, and even just kind of permission to lament, permission to be angry at God, permission to kind of recognize that things don't feel fair or right through no doing of any of ours. Lamenting is not a sign that I have lost my faith, perhaps, but a sign that I'm engaging more deeply into my faith. When I was in high school, one of my favorite bands was U2. In 1983, they released their version of Psalm 40. But it's Psalm 40 is both a psalm of praise and a psalm of lament. It's praise and thanksgiving for deliverance through a very difficult time, and at the end, it's a lament or a prayer for continued help. And but those of you that grew up in the 80s will recognize this, right? I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined and heard my cry. He lifted me up out of the pits, out of the miry clay. I will sing a new song. I will sing a new song. How long to sing this song? How long to sing this song? How long? How long? How long? How long to sing this song? And it, of course, goes on, but there again is this kind of this early message of, I cried out to God, He heard my cry, He pulled me out of this despairing moment, and in response, I sing this new song, which in the context of the psalm is a reflection on, I changed, I emerged this newness of life as a result of this discovery, but then also kind of that haunting refrain of, how long do I sing this song? How long are things new? How long is the change going to go on? And I think, that example resonated with me in this current pandemic, where again, early on, there were these great discoveries about myself and a time to shed some things that I was ready to shed and some discoveries that were new and life-giving. And yet it went on and on. And in the context of these discussions about re-entering as a congregation, again, it felt like we were getting so close to entry, and then we had to kind of pull back. And I say, how long, to sing this song? How long until we can gather together again as, congregation, to break bread together and to share stories in person and do all of those things that we're looking for. So we as a congregation are going to need to really invest some energy in reconnecting with one another, reconnecting with others inside this building, reconnecting with the community outside this building. And I'm eager to get on with that work. As hard as it is for some people to consider, all moving to a single worship service, one of the things I love about that idea, at least initially, is if we all gather in one space, we have the opportunity to get to know each other again. We're not 7:45 people and 9 o'clock people and 10:30 people. we're Trinity Lutheran Church and Schools people, as one community. And, I think the congregation is just kind of called to launch itself in a new way with all of that new energy. So to engage with our neighbors across the parking lot, to re-engage in some of the really, tried and true community ministries like Neighbors in Need that touch so many different people. But that whole idea of impactful relationships, to help form people along life's journey is going to be kind of where we're going to focus some of our energy. And, again, not just meeting people we don't know yet, but getting to know people more deeply that we've met and said hi to 50 times, and never, really gotten to know that well. So building community, inside the walls and out. I think it's an opportunity for us, again, to just start intentionally, from this space, look forward and decide where we want to go.